privilege to be here and present in the front of August gathering and talk about the skilling ecosystem in the country. I'll be talking about the challenges and issues currently the country is facing, how the skilling and education ecosystem works, and what could be the possible solutions. Apart from that, I have also been given a topic which is future of education, preparing learners for an unpredictable world. So we are living in an unpredictable world, and we need to see how our education and skill ecosystem works. Firstly, I would like to basically differentiate between what is education and skill development. So education creates opportunities for any candidates, and skills creates employability. Education creates opportunities and skill development creates employability. Our Honorable Prime Minister has said that degrees are valuable. The degrees which you earn from education ecosystem are valuable, but the skills which you inculcate are indispensable. So this is the difference. And if you must have heard about the recent budget announcement. Our Honorable Finance Minister has also emphasized on employability rather than employment. The Government of India's focus is on employability. And to improve the employability, we need to improve the skilling ecosystem. We need to improve the education ecosystem. If you see the overall education ecosystem right now, we have almost 1,200 higher education institutions or the universities. We have around 45,000 colleges. We have around 15 lakh, that is 1,500,000 schools. So the infrastructure is all set. Apart from that, we have 15,000 industrial training institutes, out of which around 12,000 are private institutions and around 3,000 are government institutions. And the focus is because in the 20th century, our Indian Institute of Technologies have done wonders, and most of the alumni are working in the top-notch organizations. What we want is our industrial training institutes, that is ITIs, should take over that role in 21st century. And that is where the last budget announcement, which talks about PM Setu program, to improve the industrial training schools, to improve the infrastructure, the faculty development, the quality of training at the institutes of industrial training institutions, that becomes very important. So we see the infrastructure is ready. If you see the overall student numbers, say for example in school ecosystem we have around 26 crore, almost 260 million students in the school ecosystem, almost 4 crore students in the higher education ecosystem, 10 crore students in the skilling ecosystem. So these together, education and skill development creates one of the largest education skill ecosystem in the world. And with this, there are a lot of problems and issues what we see. For example, 47% of our schools only support skill education as a means to train our students. And if you see the latest reports, it talks about between class 9th and class 12th, only 29% of the students have actually taken the vocation education as a subject. So there's a big gap. Also in terms of infrastructure, 57% of our schools have computers, and out of which around 53% of the schools have internet. So still there is long gap, and we need to cover this gap. Skilling has been the focus of the government right from 2015, when the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship was created. There were 36 sector skill councils which were created. We have the regulator called the National Council for Vocational Education and Training, NCVT, which is the regulator in skill ecosystem. 36 sector skill councils across various sectors, be it logistics, be it healthcare, be it telecom, be it IT, be it beauty and wellness, be it leather, be it green jobs, be it media, entertainment, and so on and so forth. So the ecosystem is almost ready. There are programs which are basically driven for the youth, the PM internship program as well as the apprenticeship program. These programs basically help candidates to get jobs, to get opportunities in the industries, to get opportunities in the ecosystem. So the ecosystem is all set. So where are the challenges which are coming? One of the important challenges in the workforce is almost 88% of our workforce are involved in lower occupancy jobs for which they have been trained. They are actually 88% of the workforce are in the lower occupancy jobs. Almost 50% of our graduates are working below their skill levels. So whatever skills they have earned, they are working below their skill levels. And 60% of our 35 million students who are undergraduate and right now studying will not be working in the domain or the subject in which they are studying. So there is a huge gap which is coming. And now where is the future of education leading? One important aspect is the lifelong learning, as the previous speaker was saying. I think it is important to understand that your learning in the today's world will never stop. You need to continuously learn, unlearn, and relearn. And the students who would actually be able to do that will succeed. For example, if you are an engineer and you understand economics, you understand history, or maybe you understand data, you will maybe succeed. Or maybe a medical student who understands the technology part may succeed in his medicine career. So each of us are basically trained in a particular domain, but we need to understand the other ecosystems, and the NEP basically provides you this flexibility so that an engineer can actually do a subject in economics, a social scientist can actually do or complete a course in technology, and so on and so forth. So the credit transfer is one of the important area, and the micro credits which are there becomes very important. So what is the future? It is basically small micro credits which you can take up and put it into your academic bank of credit. Small modular courses if you are able to take. So right now what is the strategy for a student? It is to take up certain small courses, bite-sized courses, complete the courses, get the credits, earn the credits, and move on. The second important aspect is how to learn. Basically, you need to understand how you learn, what is the pedagogy behind it. And it becomes very important when you are actually moving in a path which is unknown to you. Basically, career counseling is one of the important area which is coming right now in the school ecosystem. We know that students who are transitioning from class 9 to 10th or from class 11, 12th to undergraduate degrees would require a lot of counseling, and a lot of parents are now giving a lot of importance to the careers of their child, what is the advantage they have, what kind of adaptiveness they carry, and what has been their upbringing. So all this becomes very important. The third important skill to have is the human skills. Basically, the communication part is most important. Most of us in the industry right now don't know how to write or maybe draft an email or a letter. This is very basic, which is taught in class 3, 4. I basically interviewed one person who was a BTech and a MTech in computer science, and I asked the student what is probability or what is a correlation. So they were not able to explain. Carl Pearson's correlation coefficient, which is taught in the school curriculum. So human skills, communication, understanding becomes very important. The third aspect is technology, because AI is moving so fast, and right from 1950s we have seen the technology which is changing. India semiconductor mission is here, India AI mission is here. India provides the least cost access to the GPUs. Almost 34,000 plus GPUs are available in the country. With accessing these GPUs, the cost is less than $1 per hour. This is the lowest cost in the country and in the world. Personalization also is an important area. We have seen US Marines basically being trained on personalized systems, so that based on their adaptiveness, they are trained on a particular domain. For example, in a classroom, there are 30, 40 students. Each student's ability to learn is different. And in the Indian education system, we only have one teacher and 30, 40, 50, 60 students. It becomes difficult for a teacher to actually train each and every candidate. So here comes the adaptive AI systems who basically identify where are the gaps each student carry, which if a teacher is teaching a top subject, which topics a student is weak, and then the systems can actually tailor made programs for that. So US Marines have been trained in such systems, and these systems have also been tried. Right now, a lot of edtech companies, including IITs and many other higher education ecosystems, are using these technologies to deliver content personalized to the students so that they are able to learn at their own pace. Another important area is the industry and academic collaboration. It is always said that the students who are coming out of degree colleges or engineering colleges or art science colleges are not ready for the job. Why? Because there is a demand and supply gap. What industry needs, that is the demand side of it. The supply side, that is the training institutions, ITIs, colleges, universities, are not able to provide. So these are the skill gaps which we call, and these skill gaps need to be filled. Each sector basically identifies the skill gaps, be it aviation, be it telecommunication. For example, there is a airport which is coming up in Jewar or maybe New Mumbai. So what kind of jobs would be available there? Down the line, maybe 8 to 10 years, what would be the future? Are we talking about green hydrogen? The National Green Hydrogen Mission has been announced by the Honorable Prime Minister a year back. What we are doing for that? How our drivers will be trained in order to move the hydrogen gas through these vehicles? How our operators, the petrol or the CNG pump operators, would be able to, whether they would be able to deliver the hydrogen gas in our cars? So this is how we need to identify the gaps, and we need to fill these gaps through the skilling and education programs. What would be the future jobs which would be available for us? So all these things basically cater to our requirement, and we need to think for that. Entrepreneurship becomes important. We need to have entrepreneurship mindset. And recently on, I think, 16th January, India celebrated 10 years of Startup India. And almost 50% of the directors in these startups are women. This is a phenomenal effort by the government of India. Similarly, almost 300 of the top 500 GCCs are in our country, and which contribute a lot to the GDP. If you see the overall GDP, what we are seeing is right now per capita GDP is around $2,000. If we are talking about 2047 Viksit Bharat, we need to do it 10x, at least $20,000 per capita by 2047. Similarly, a $5 trillion economy today, if you maybe multiply by 10x, it would be around $50 trillion by 2047. So for this, we need to have a sustainable effort. And the recent budget announcements largely talks about improving the education and skilling ecosystem. There's a huge, skilling is not just important, it is a kind of infrastructure, as my previous speaker was mentioning. It has to be given equal importance, and it is important that the skilling ecosystem and education ecosystem comes together. What I see now is the startup ecosystem. India is number 3 in terms of startup, and digital revolution we have already seen. India is number 1 ahead of China in many of the areas, including all the countries across the world. Similarly, financial transactions are also moving way beyond our imagination. Last month, UPIs touched almost 25 trillion rupees in terms of transaction, and almost 20 billion transactions which have been done in the country in a month. So these are the figures from the ministry's website. So there is continuous movement which is going on, and for India to become a superpower or the largest moving economy in the world, we need to come together, and I think canvas is very wide. There are a lot of players, there are a lot of important stakeholders. We need to come together, we need to network, and we need to move ahead in this ecosystem. Finally, I would like to quote a small episode from Albert Einstein's life. He was a professor in Germany, and he had a tutoring assistant. Once he gave a paper to the students, and the paper was given to the students, and students attempted it. But while going, the teaching assistant told Albert Einstein that, sir, the paper which you have given just now has already been given last year. This is the same paper. So the professor smiled and said, yes, my dear student, I know that. I know that the questions are same, but now the answers have changed. So we also need to change. The questions might be same, but with the AI revolution, with the 4th, 5th, and 6th generation technologies, the industrial revolutions, which we have missed, I think India is rightly poised to move ahead. And with all of us together and thinking in right direction, I think we'll be able to make that. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.